Welcome to Bruce Hurwitz Presents Meet the Experts. I'm your host, Bruce Hurwitz of Hurwitz Strategic Staffing. I hope you will consider us for all your staffing, career counseling, and speech writing needs. You can find us on the web at hsstaffing.com. I am delighted to be joined today by Marc Halpert. We will be discussing LinkedIn as a branding tool for encore career-minded job seekers. Meet the Experts is sponsored by P&K CPAs. P&K is a full-service accounting firm. They provide accounting and consulting services to businesses ranging from startups to small and mid-cap companies to nonprofits as well as high-net-worth individuals. Contact them today for a free consultation at pk-cpas.com or call them at 973-882-8810. They will be happy to be of service. Marc, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What's it, our third or fourth time together?
Oh, it's more than that. You were one of my most frequent guests on the audio.
I remember that.
And
it was a nice place to be.
Now we've got the video.
Yeah, good.
Marc, please take a moment or two and introduce yourself to our viewers.
Well, I'm a multipreneur. I do many different things. I have two businesses. One of those businesses is LinkedIn coaching and LinkedIn training. And that's the thing that, if you can hear it in my voice, gets me most fired up, because I find that so many people are stuck. So many people don't know what to do with LinkedIn. It's very hard to use. My job is to roadmap you through it, not to make you look like anybody else, but to make you look uniquely, distinctly, in your voice and in your own way of intonation, how you appear to the public using LinkedIn as your calling card. It can be done, take some work, and it's harder for some people than others, but it's one thing that I absolutely love doing.
Now, there's one question I think I asked you every time you were on the audio podcast, so I'll ask you now. Again, the thing about LinkedIn, and it's not a criticism as such, it's just a statement of fact, they are always updating and changing the user interface, what's available, what's not. You write something, I know you wrote a book, and then you had to rewrite it because they changed everything.
Yes. LinkedIn is a morphing entity. It continuously changes. And since it was purchased by Microsoft, it's like any Microsoft product. It has new versions, iterations, but they don't come across in one big swoop of changes. They do once in a while, but mostly the changes are subtle and they're layered in quickly. You don't even realize it. They're making changes all the time. So yes, you can criticize LinkedIn. That's totally fine. I don't work for LinkedIn, and I can be very critical of LinkedIn, but it's an amazing power tool when you use it right. And if you keep up with it and you learn how to use the power tool, the new version of Word is a lot better than an old version of Word. So embrace the change and move along and make it work for you.
There you go. It's frustrating, but if you take the time and take a deep breath, you can usually figure it out.
Or they have an amazing help center, and you can find any answer to anything you want. Or you can hire me. But that's
there you go.
An advertisement.
There you go. Now, our topic contains two words that I want you to explain.
Okay.
The first one is branding, and the second is encore.
Okay.
You said
branding.
Encore for career-minded job seekers.
Okay. Branding. You're a brand. Bruce, you're a brand. I'm a brand. We talk about ourselves and we show ourselves in all media, whether it's electronic or paper or even voice, when I'm speaking to you on the phone, as I'm speaking to you now, in a way that we want to be remembered. And what I like to do is I like to say, you're like a box of cereal in the grocery store. All the other boxes of cereal taste the same. They all crunch, they all have sugar, they're all garbage. Some cost more, some cost less. What makes you pick up a box and say, I want to read this box, I want to take this home and try it, I want to buy it again, is the brand of you. Now you think about branding cigarettes, branding cola, branding hamburgers. They're all the same. We're generically very similar. as consultants or whatever you do. It's what you step out and do and say and act and make people understand in your personal marketing that is your brand. And I can go on and on about branding. Maybe that's another topic. But Encore Career is a brand that you can tie on yourself if you have worked in a career for a long time and decide for whatever reason to take a hiatus and come back and do something different. I see this a lot for what I call silver linkers. These are people who have silver hair, no hair, and we're in good company here. I have a very large part in my hair, as I like to say. Those are people who have earned their stripes, have their great experience in their pocket that they can always draw upon, and they can use it to benefit other places. So every time you look for a new job, every time you leave a job and do whatever you do next, that's part of your encore when you go to the next place. I've been teaching for 8 years to baby boomers primarily who are underemployed, meaning they could do better, unemployed, which means they are looking for their next position, or have retired and decided that they want to do something completely different. Lawyers who said, I've had it with the law, I want to be a nonprofit executive director. I have that in me. And it's how you package your past experience to who you are today, to where you want to go in your future, that allows you to give the encore orientation of what you want to do next.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, I want to share a slide that you were kind enough to prepare, and let's just take these one at a time.
Great. So, be proud of your origins. Tell your career story. Your resume is a backward-looking, almost like an obituary of what you did, full of factoids and pieces that don't read well. If you talk about the pride you have in where you came from and how you went up the ranks, what you learned along the way, and you tell this like a novel, where every chapter builds on the next chapter, so that by the time people read your entire career history, career story, they understand what you bring to the table, then you've done a really good job. But don't just leave it facts on the table. Talk about in exuberant language. This is you selling yourself as a brand to the person, where you came from, what I did there, what I accomplished, why I'm proud of it, what made me and them stay together. And that's your story. It's a narrative. It's a rich story of you talking to somebody saying, this is why I do what I do. This is not what I did, but this is who I am.
One of the things that I find that is in some ways makes the process easier, but in other ways makes it extremely difficult, is the limitations, because your brand comes out in your professional title, which comes under your name, and then the summary. And in the professional title, like it or not, you only have 120 characters and spaces. And in the summary, you're limited to 2,000 characters and spaces.
Okay.
And 120 is not a lot. And when you start writing your life story, or you want to write your life story, which you shouldn't do, in the summary, you find out that 2,000 characters is not that many.
Okay.
Talk to us about working within those limitations.
Okay. You on LinkedIn are like a newspaper on a newsstand. And I've talked about this with you before. It's a great metaphor. The newspaper sits on the newsstand and it has a headline, and it makes you want to pick up that newspaper. So you have to be very, very economical and rich with your language to make somebody want to read the headline and want to know more to read your summary. Then you expand or expound, whichever word, on the headline in your summary. And the summary is like a short elevator pitch. This is what you read in the headline. This is why I do what I do in my summary. And then if they like the summary and they're further interested in reading about you, they read in your experience. So your headline is the headline on the newspaper. Your summary is the lead paragraph in the article. The experience is the rest of the article. You hope they read down, down, down as far as you can get them to read. Is it easy to write a headline in 120 characters? Absolutely not. So the tip I give my clients is write your headline in 6 or 7 independent sit downs in front of a blank screen, write it on Word, save it, do it again another time, another day when you're fresh, save it. Take 6 or 7 saved versions, highlight them with the yellow highlighter, take the yellow highlighting sections of each of those and mash them together. You'll probably get a much better headline. So it's hard. It's hard for people, especially boomers, to talk about themselves because we were taught very well not to talk about ourselves. You overcome that. You tell your story. It's your novel of your history, of your career story. And this is where you start. And you will continuously change your LinkedIn profile, headline, summary, experience as need be as you yourself change. We'll go on to the next bullet point because I'm mindful of the time. Speak on your profile about yourself using the pronoun I. This is why I do what I do. I gain great satisfaction from. I have been called this. I am told that I excel in. It's not an ego dump. It's using I like I'm talking to you right now. It's being narrative. And go Google 185 power verbs and use verbs that are rich, like you're making a business presentation. This is not a place you're going to use was, had, made, did. You know, those are elementary words. Those are words that have need in our vocabulary. But when you're making a business pitch, you're going to make it with much better verbs. Use powerful, colorful verbs. When you talk in your LinkedIn profile using I and power verbs, you're much more articulate, you're much more able to give a better impression of yourself, and you brand yourself in a way that most people don't. So this is a great way for you to differentiate yourself. Next bullet, you must continuously craft your LinkedIn presence. And that means that you're changing continuously. Your ideas are changing. You're coming across new philosophies that are important to you. You can use those and integrate them into your LinkedIn profile. Great example. I came across a Japanese philosophy called Ikigai, which is similar to the French raison d'etre, or why I do what I do, the Simon Sinek why I do what I do. And I embraced that philosophy of Ikigai, and I used my LinkedIn profile to show the various aspects of Ikigai. If you're interested in what Ikigai is, you can Google it, or I spent 5 of my own personal blog posts analyzing each of the 5 components of Ikigai, and you can look that up on my blog. So as you are approached by people who give you an interesting concept or a philosophy you come across or a change in your experience, or maybe you just change your entire career orientation, you rewrite and you augment your existing LinkedIn profile. Don't let it get stale.
And that is connected to growing your LinkedIn reputation.
Sure. Your LinkedIn reputation is how people see you. So part of that is what you say and how they perceive it. Bigger part of that reputation is what you share. You're reading constantly. You read an article that you think is especially interesting. Share it. But put a comment on top of the article you're sharing so people understand why you think it's important. If people buy into your reputation as a thought leader, and you should be a thought leader, if you are a silver linker, as I was saying before, a boomer, you have had the experience to tell people, in my experience, this article is really important. I'd like you to read it because I think that the author has item number 4 right on target, or whatever the words you need to put around it. And grow that presence, grow that reputation, because people will share your comments and the article you're sharing with the people they're connected to, and other people get to benefit and join in on the reputation you're sharing. So that's a really big thing. It's not just sharing, it's commenting. It's not liking. Anybody can like something and adds nothing to your reputation. But when you put personal commentary on top of it, on why it's important, then that becomes something that gives you a unique voice and a smarter voice that people will buy into you for.
Now let's look at the next 2 together.
Okay.
adding multimedia, and showcasing your past work, because I think they go hand in hand.
Perhaps. Multimedia, anything that's not words on a screen. Okay, we're talking
What we're
about
doing
podcasts.
right now.
I was just going to say, we're talking about podcasts. We're talking about video podcasts. We're talking about slide decks. We're talking about articles you wrote. We're talking about books you wrote. We're talking about interviews you've had. Maybe you didn't have them just yourself. Maybe you shared it with somebody else. Maybe you have a video of you making a presentation at a conference. You just need a couple of minutes to let somebody understand this is one concept you need to take away with you. This is me telling you in my own way, growing my reputation, growing my education for you to share with other people. Multimedia is huge. It is far more memorable than just words on a screen. So you should be very comfortable with video, presentations, slide decks, PDFs, pictures can tell 100 words, videos tell 1,000,000 words. It's a very, very big area on LinkedIn right now to share video. And sharing multimedia is really, really simple on LinkedIn because they built it that way, because they understand that with attention deficits that we all have right now, that when we get something fast and furious and not have to read tomes or paragraphs and paragraphs, then that makes you more memorable as a thought leader.
For example, when we're finished, if all goes well, and so far, knock wood, as they say, I haven't had too much trouble. About 20 minutes after we're done, this will be live on YouTube. I will send you the link, and all you'll have to do is, in your profile, go to edit mode, add multimedia, put in the link to the video, and it miraculously appears. But you also get the option of putting in a description.
Exactly. You should put in a description. And I already have started on that process. This morning, I wrote a post on LinkedIn that I'm getting ready for my podcast with @Bruce Hurwitz. And I've let everybody I'm connected know it's going to be posted as soon as it's available. So I've dropped it in, shall we say, so that they know. So I create the anticipation. People then who believe my reputation is valid and the things I talk about is important will read it, listen to this podcast, this video podcast, and share it on to other people. So yes, you absolutely should have commentary on top of it.
And then there's also, for example, I will be sending out an update. And it will say, thanks to Mark for a acceptable interview on LinkedIn with the link. And then I thank my sponsor, and your name is highlighted, the sponsor's name is highlighted, and explain why that's important.
Because you have how many hundreds of thousands of connections, my friend?
I have 30,000 connections, which is the maximum.
Okay.
And I have an additional about 2,600 followers. So we're looking at 32,600 people.
So that means what the math is, 65,000 eyes are seeing what you're putting out there?
Well, no.
They're seeing my name. They're seeing your name.
They have the potential.
They have the potential. If they're incented to want to see it because your comment says it's important, or it might be something that will benefit them or somebody they know, they open it, they share it, and it goes on and on and on.
But it also depends on whether or not it's included in their news feed. I don't get 30,000 new messages every day in my news feed, thank God.
Thank God is right.
It's not everyone. Sometimes I'll see something that you've done. Sometimes I won't. I don't know what the rhyme and reason is to it.
And we won't figure that out in this conference. But here's the thing. When people see hashtags in your comment, it goes to other people who share those same hashtags. So I always end my comments these days with hashtags, hashtag Encore Career, hashtag older workers, hashtag career change, hashtag LinkedIn for careers, whatever it is that makes sense. So it just keeps moving along. The amazing thing is I don't get comments on some of the things I do the day I push them out. I've had people come back to me 6-9 months ago. One woman came back to me last week from 3 years ago that she had saved something, or it came around from somebody else who said, hey, you need to call this guy. So you don't know where it goes. So let's go back to the bullet point if we
that's
could.
what I'm doing.
All right.
You
So
anticipate.
showcasing your past work. You showcase your past work to show the real value prop that you offer. So your past indicates where you came from and the value and the quality of the work you did. Please be sure if you put multimedia or any other work that's from the past that you have the legal and moral right to put it on your profile. And I've had situations where in certain circumstances people have put secret or private information that they didn't realize is really not to be shared with people, though they wrote it for the company they worked for. So really be very careful about what you put there. Find the quality of work you want to show. Articles you wrote that were published, that's a grand thing to show out, because here's why. Hiring managers complain that 30 and 20-something-year-old employees cannot write. So you have a leg up over them already because you can demonstrate that you can write well. Show things that get complex concepts across using simple and easy to absorb language. That's a gift. That's a skill that not a lot of younger competitors have. The work you've done in the past shows you can do that work in your present. The work you do in your present shows you can do it and bring it to your encore career employer in the future. All these things ping in the head, in the mind of the hiring manager or the recruiter or whoever you're trying to appeal to. And you have to be careful that you don't show too much. What I like to say is you're like a cut stone. Every facet of what you do or did or want to do in the future should have a piece of writing to demonstrate it, a recommendation from a recommender to show a story or relate an anecdote of a time when you demonstrated that facet. Bring it down to 5, 6, 7, 8 facets, and people will remember better. If you have 128 facets, people are just going to get lost. So you want to be very careful about how you show your past work and do it couch it in the language of, this is what I bring to the table today and where I can bring it to you for your future. Finally, or next and last, properly care for and feed the beast called LinkedIn. Caring for it is being sure that the people you're connected to gain benefit from what you're sharing with them, that you are constantly engaging with people. If it's a work anniversary, just don't send out the boilerplate work anniversary note. Give them a bravo or a brava, as the case may be. Congratulate them on the lucky number 25 or lucky number 13 or whatever it is. Tell people that you're paying attention. Tell people it's been a long time since we've seen each other. Let's get together over coffee. Great article. You'll hear from me soon. Recommend people without they're expecting you to recommend them. Endorse people for skills you actually know they have. Then you're caring for, nurturing the people that you're connected to on LinkedIn, and you're feeding LinkedIn with the good soul that you are. And that makes people interested in you. And you need LinkedIn all your career, not just until you get your next job, but into the future so that it's easy for them to understand that you bring a career orientation of doing quality, fine work everywhere you go. And they can read into your career the things that you have soft skills in, the things that you have actually relevant skills in to bring wherever you operate. That's a huge thing for people who are older to demonstrate, to show they are not technology immigrants, but indeed they're technology embracers, and that they understand that technology is what hiring managers are suspicious of older workers, and you can eliminate the suspicion.
I had
one at the end of the day.
I'm just moving on to the next slide, but I had one career counseling client, and we were discussing the point you just raised, and I said, you'll write a few articles, and that's how you'll get started. And he said to me, well, when can I stop? And I said, never.
Never. Ever, never.
He did not like it. He said, but this is ongoing. There's no end to it. I go, that's right. There's no end to it.
If you don't have the fire in your belly to educate your peers in new aspects of what you do, you're probably in the wrong field. Now, it's easy for me to say because I get all jazzed up about LinkedIn, but I'm in this field because I love seeing people benefit and get unstuck. from the stuck position I had them when I had them at first. So these are things that you need to be sure that you're demonstrating to peers and to potential clients and to people you've worked for in the past, where you've gone beyond where they knew you. Now, there are some times where you have to take time off of a job. Increasingly, people take time off of a job to care for a sick parent, a sick child, or you left the field because it no longer suited you, or the field went away. For many examples of industries that have disappeared. Just ask people in the publishing industry or magazine and newspaper writers, things like that. And they have to go do something different. So they might put the pen down for a little while, and they might go do something different to learn a new skill in a new industry. How do you show that on LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn, better than I can explain it to you, explains it to you. And there's a link at the bottom of this slide. It's blog.linkedin.com/ and the rest of the stuff. And it's a few years old, but it's still very valid. And they have a lot of different what ifs that you can try to match to your situation. And they help you give an example of how, in 17 different slides, how you can explain why you took a non-traditional work history. And this is important for a lot of people who are just stuck, not being able to figure out how to make LinkedIn work in these unusual situations. Mostly, they're telling you, be honest with why it happened and be embracing of what you learned from the situation that you left. And then your career path will reflect the uniqueness that you are based upon the words that you use to explain it.
Mark, I want to thank you profusely. This was a lot of fun.
Good.
That's the difference between the audio and the and the video.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad we were able to show some slides. So I thank you profusely for coming on. And I'm going to share your contact information with our viewers.
Great.
I hope this will be the first of many video podcasts.
Careful, you say things like that, I take you up on it. So
I know.
You're in good shape. Thank you, Bruce. Always appreciate it.
And here is for everyone is Mark's contact information.
And can I just jump in and say quickly that if you want to follow my blog, and I did mention my blog about Ikigai and other things, it's connecttocollaborate.com. It's a WordPress blog. So you can search for Ikigai, IKIGAI, and you can read about Ikigai, which I think is a pretty cool philosophy you may want to learn about.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our viewers. And as always, please keep focused on success.